You upset one person, that could cost you 20 deals. And that adds up to a lot of money. Life is too short to be, stuck in that rut. Every day I'd wake up was like, geez, I don't really want to go to work. When you have confidence, it builds trust. And when you have trust, you get sales. If you're here to actually look for someone to build you the house, then I want to help you. It shouldn't feel like you're manipulating them.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Redesign Your Life Today, the podcast where we explore powerful ideas, inspiring stories, and practical wisdom to help you transform the way you think, lead, and live. Each week, I sit down with remarkable guests who share insights that can help you unlock next levels of clarity, confidence, and success in life and business. And today, I'm delighted to welcome Scott Grozelle, author and new home sales expert who has spent over 2 decades helping real estate professionals understand how homes are truly built so that they can sell with greater credibility, confidence, and trust. So, Scott, a warm welcome to the show. And first question, Scott, I would like you to introduce you a little further. This was a really short introduction. So, who is Scott and what brings you to do what you are doing today?
Well, anyway, thanks for the invite to your show. It's an honor.
You're very
And
welcome.
yeah, so I guess what brings me into what I've been doing, I've taken a path. I mean, from the beginning, I started in architecture and I moved to the US after I was born and raised in Canada. And then I moved to the US and practiced architecture for 10 years there. And then I wanted change. And so that being that I was on a temporary visa for 10 years, I had to figure out what I wanted to do with myself. And I mean, I liked architecture, but I found it was just too confining for what I was, the way where I was in life. And being on a temporary visa, you have to follow the visa restrictions. So I couldn't really deviate into or move in different directions. So I ended up coming back to Canada and I got into home building and I just fell in love with it. It was just working with the people and just helping. Because I was, when I was hired for in the home building company I was in, I moved up really fast and I wore every hat. I was, I did everything. I didn't do everything. I was involved with everything. Let's just make that clear. I had a great team that made it all successful, but it was a lot of fun and it was more my calling. I mean, architecture certainly enhanced where I was at in the position and how I understood it. And that's kind of where I started going with it. And then I got in with a couple other guys and we started our own company and we were doing volume fast. Like we just, I don't know what it was, but we took off and it was exciting. We were doing, 80 to 100 homes a year, custom, some speculation homes. Yeah, so it was a very wide spectrum of what we were getting ourselves into. And in Alberta is it goes through a lot of cycles. It's oil and gas, it fluctuates, commodities driven. So we found that business was very difficult to work in. And we just kind of went our separate ways. And then I ended up helping a lot of people well, I'll back up a little bit. When I was in with the new home building company, I was working with a lot of realtors. And in that space, they all wanted to be a part of it. So the biggest disconnect was, how do you work together so that you're working with the client, because basically the realtors got two clients here. They've got their client that they're building a house for, selling their house, whatever it may be. And then I'm their client also. So they got to make everybody happy. And if you can't figure that out, then it becomes a problem. And everybody, in trust and all those kind of things have to come together. And that's why I started the books that I did, the three books. And My first one was The Secrets. That's helping home builders get through problems and, and prepare them for building a home. And then my second book is for actual new home salespeople that are sitting in the show home. You know, they're basically your client, your employees, right? And then the third one, that's the realtor one. That's the one that I just was talking about. That's really helped bridge the gap. And that one's all three have done really well. They're all on Amazon, and the reviews coming back have been very solid. So I think I did something right with it. And like I said, I was always involved at such a high level. And my whole approach was always about know your product, know who you're dealing with, be honest, integrity driven. And that's what it's really, people are very cautious, especially home building. That's the biggest purchase of their lives for most people, right? So if you don't have their confidence and feel like you're representing them and not just looking for a commission, you're probably going to lose them. You're certainly not going to get any referrals. And that's where this whole path takes you is referral base, because if you got referrals, they all of us, you're shortlisted now. They're not really looking at anybody else. They take, they take you for face value at that point. So it's an interesting approach that we did, and it worked very well. And but that's how I guess I deviated from your question a bit, but that's how I got to where I am now. And well, now I'm actually in Mexico, but I decided to do another little twist and been here almost 4 years. And we've done some construction here, built a large sixplex with a rooftop pool and all the fun stuff. So it's really just, it's taken a lot of paths. It has, and it's been exciting. Met a lot of great people on the way and currently doing podcasts, which is also kind of neat. And meeting different people like yourself, Daniel, which is great.
Mhm.
You've got you've got a great perspective on what you do also.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your this story, Scott, because we can see that you had different lives. I mean, you lived in Canada and then the US and Canada and Mexico. And one thing I heard you saying, it's about you having passion for what you do.
Oh, absolutely.
How important is it, Scott, to really do the things you really enjoy doing?
Well, that's the key to it, in my opinion. I mean, I can't imagine. I can imagine. When I first got into architecture, I really enjoyed it, but I started to not really enjoy it for whatever reasons, and I didn't have the passion, and I recognized that, and I just thought, every day I'd wake up with like, geez, I don't really want to go to work. It's just, when you feel that way, you shouldn't continue because life is too short to be, stuck in that rut, I guess you could say. And it is passion is important. And I found that when I got into working with people, the sales end of things, the construction end of things, the consulting, all that's everything I do now. And you build your whole life. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. I mean, that's a long time. And when you really enjoy it, you can really help a lot of people. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what makes you feel good. When you wake up, it's like, wow, I get to make a difference here. And that's, to me, is huge.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. And you see, this resonates very much with me, Scott, because you see, I used to be in international sales. I've run companies. And for the past few years, I decided to do something else. I'm a life coach. Actually, I'm a mental fitness coach.
Excellent.
I'm helping people who feel stuck, who feel drained, who don't have a purpose any longer, to
Right.
regain it, to gain clarity, to gain confidence, and really to live the life they want to live. And it's change is possible at any stage. And it's why I was asking you the question about purpose, because for me, it's like paramount. If you don't have a purpose and a passion, it's very difficult. I mean, because you don't know where you are going.
I couldn't agree more, to be honest. And that's
So
I
no,
I admire which direction you're going with this, and you are helping people, and that's
See,
fantastic.
this is a reason, thank you. This is a reason why I'm doing this podcast. It's not about me. It's not, it's really about sharing stories like with you, Scott, about different possibilities, different lives, and what you've done. And so now, obviously, you have a new area in which you are working, and now you are in Mexico. So, and you mentioned one thing. I just want to come back 1 second. You said sales. I mean, buying a house is perhaps the most important purchase you do in your house, and it's difficult. And it's like, am I doing the right thing? Am I working with the right people? Can I trust them? And
Absolutely.
you mentioned as well that this your trust-based approach, this makes a big difference. And I suppose that in the realtors world or even building world, it's perhaps difficult to find the right partners to work with.
Absolutely. Yes. And I mean, that's funny you say that because when I started working with the sales end of things, you know, everybody had different backgrounds that I was working with. New home or new car sales, used car sales, somebody from Best Buy, and they all knew their products and that, and they all thought they had to be kind of use persuasion and stuff like that. And it says just be yourself. And when I say be yourself, hopefully you have integrity and you're honest and you really truly want to help them. Because if you're not, if you don't feel that way, then you're probably a bad fit for the industry. And that's who the people I looked for that I wanted to work with, because those are the ones that would shine. Like they would just elevate themselves. They could be really new in the industry. And in many ways, that was probably better because they weren't trained improperly or anything. They didn't have bad habits. So when I seen that, those kind of people, and if they truly felt good about what they were doing, and would listen to me, it went well. And they would actually increase their volume sales, even in resale. I mean, it applies in resale and new home sales. I mean, it's all the same. You're working with different, aging building systems and stuff like that, but that's fine. I mean, a new builds to me is a crisp, new product and it's exciting. But sales is sales. You want to get to where you're getting referrals. You want to have it where they trust you. So if you're working with those kind of parameters, it just becomes easier, not harder. I mean, that's what I found. It was like, why do people struggle with this? Know your product, know what you're selling. That makes it easy. And when you have confidence, it builds trust. And when you have trust, you get sales. It's just, and I would always say, because there's a lot of tire kickers in the industry, in any industry in sales.
Mhm.
And I would always just say, come out and be honest, if you're here to actually look for someone to build you the house, then I want to help you. And I think that resonated quite well with a lot of my clients in the past because they realized I truly wanted to help them and get them through. And I never was one to overpromise or anything like that. I mean, nothing goes perfect, and I would never expect. I don't think anyone expects that. But if you're honest about the situation that you run into, like, that goes well also. So I think that kind of answers where you were going with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, not only it does, but I have to say, Scott, I can see myself using exactly the same words as you did, and I've done it
That's
during all
great.
my sales career because it's about this, it's about being honest, it's about listening to your customers. It's really about wanting the best for them. And if something we feel it's not the best, we tell them. And it just and this is where you build this relationship where people will really follow you because they see that, it's not about you, it's not about, but it's really about wanting the best for them.
Absolutely. That's totally it. And when you do feel that way, it feels like the right fit. And if that's the right, I mean, everybody wants sales and closing deals and that. And but it shouldn't feel painful. It shouldn't feel like you're manipulating them. I mean, at the end of the day, if that's how you're feeling at the end of your sale, and that's not for me. And I certainly don't want that as part of my team because it comes across. And to be honest, anytime I've worked with other clients that were working with builders or realtors that were running into these kind of things, it never goes well. It just doesn't. No. So you're right. It's an easier path to go, and it rewards it. And it really does. I'm excited about those kind of closings, right?
Well, I mean, this is beautiful. I really, and for all our viewers, this is such an important tip. You see, I mean, I don't know if I can't even call it a tip, but just be yourself.
Yes,
Be yourself. Be,
100%.
be truthful, and it's about treating people the way we would like to be treated as well. I mean, imagine
Yep.
like, and when you do that, can't go wrong. Sometimes you have to say no, if you can't do something, sorry, I can't, with the timing, with this. But when people know that, and you said something very important as well, you don't overpromise. And if you can't do it, you can't do it, and you just say that. And
That's
instead of,
right.
and sometimes people they say yes, 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 actually knowing very,
They
very
they
well
know
that they
very
can't
well
do
they
that.
can't. Right.
So what do they think they're going to achieve? Like short-term gain, but you know what? They're going to achieve nothing because people will see, and afterwards they lose the trust.
Well, and I've had that happen a lot, with people coming to me. And I was just thinking of the one story I had of this young couple. They actually lived around the corner from my house in Alberta, and they were building with a company that I was very familiar with, and their salesperson had left mid-project. So all the communication they had with that salesperson was lost as far as if it's not on paper, then it doesn't matter, right? So there was promises that she had made and so forth. And so they came to me and they said, can you review our documents and see where we're at? Because, things got, and it wasn't that anybody was trying to pull a fast one or anything, but everybody wanted to make sure they were getting or providing what was promised. So I looked at all the documents, and this client was really good about keeping their documents in check because it was clear like where they had their allowances for like landscaping, all these things, extra lighting, whatever they had. This is a few years ago now, but it was just nice to see that they had everything in place. The
Mhm.
salesperson was not there to be their liaison, so it they at the end of the day, the company provided what they were entitled to, and it worked out well. But that doesn't always work that way. I mean, a lot of times there are things that are promised, way over promised, and can't be delivered. And that's a really uncomfortable situation to put yourself in and to put the company in. Like they're not, I mean, that's not helping a company that's been over promised and has to provide. There's another story to go on, but I won't. But there was a company that the salesperson way overpromised. The company went bankrupt.
Mhm.
I think bankrupt. I don't know, but they just disappeared and left a lot of clients hanging. And that honestly was the fault of the salesperson way overpromising, knowing that these were not going to happen, knowing the company was going to be in a lot of trouble if they did provide, because these were not priced out. And it was a terrible situation. And a lot of people got hurt in that scenario there. So once again, the overpromising doesn't work, and stay away from it. And if you have to get your clients to sign with you because you're just overpromising and you can't deliver it, you're not doing yourself a favor. Time will either expose you or promote you. So keep that in mind and
Mhm.
work with those words, and that'll carry you forward. So
Wow. Again, this is so, this is so powerful, and everybody can really take a lot from that. And so, what's the importance, Scott, of listening, really listening to what your clients want? I mean, from both sides, because obviously there are the people buying and there are people, you're helping with. So, what's your take on
yeah,
that?
oh, listening is huge. I mean, I I've seen I used to, my wife and I would always go on a trip, and we go to different show homes, model homes and that, where they'd have their salespeople, realtors, or whoever it was working in them. And we'd really watch the ones that were listening or not listening, and how the clients would get frustrated and they'd walk out. Um, I even had that around my own show home myself, and I would see that happening because there was a few that were very aggressive, and they knew the product knowledge and stuff like that, and they tried to maybe overemphasize how great they were or whatever it was. That doesn't work either. So the ones that were listening really seemed to captivate. So that's the first step right there. Because when you're in a show home or model home and they're coming in there, your first impression is going to be your biggest, and catch them right then. If you start getting all salesy and start pushing them out the door, you're gonna fail. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. And I've had to straighten out several salespeople in that direction because it was just like, you got to watch. And like I said, I went through, that was a hobby of ours to go to these different show homes, and that, whether it be in our area, you didn't want to go to where people would know you because they'd be, that's not good either. But it was always fun to go to a different city and see how everybody would approach. And you knew who the bigger builders were too, right? So, and the ones that were successful. And they always had this, the salespeople were listening. They were definitely listening. They were trying to figure you out. And they're listening for two reasons, really. Obviously, they want to sell, but they also don't want to waste too much time,
Hmm.
because there's always, in show homes, you get a lot of traffic. And if you can't figure out who the right people are, then yeah, you're wasting a lot of your time, right? I mean, I've seen a lot of salespeople put in so much extra time into something that was just not there. And if you can't identify that, you're not helping the ones that want help. And another story, my wife and I went into a show home. We were new to Alberta, actually. And it was really interesting because we walked in the show home. We were pretty successful. We were, for sure. And we walked in, and it was a realtor working in the show home. And she kind of, for some reason, thought like we were looking at a nice home, and the model homes that were on the wall. And we're like, well, we really like this. And she was like, I don't think that's quite for you guys. I was like, really? So she already pre-qualified us as not able to work into that situation. So it was really uncomfortable. It was really odd. And this was kind of in our first start of our career and all this too. So that was an eye opener. But she just really thought that, when you're prejudging people, I mean, especially in Alberta, you've got guys that'll walk in, they just came from the oil patch, they don't have a whole lot of time but they want to buy a house, and they've got money. They've got money. And they walk in, and there could be, dirty hands and everything like that. But they're ready to spend. So if you're gonna just think this guy is just some kind of a derelict, um, you're probably missing out on a pretty good client there. And once again, and you treat them well with respect and everything like that, there's going to be repeat clients. You're going to have referrals. I mean, all these things all work together. You upset one person, that could cost you 20 deals. And that adds up to a lot of money, especially new home sales. There's a lot of money for realtors to be in to have that part of their business. Working with resale homes is great, but the person that's building the new home is also has a house to sell. So you're kind of double ending things right off the bat. So it's kind of to me is a no-brainer to try to capitalize in all those areas, right? And align yourself with the right builder because as we all know, different builders have different reputations. So find one that aligns with you. Maybe
Yeah.
you are sneaky. Maybe that's a better fit for you.
Hmm.
I'm not here to judge anyone. If that's how you're making your money, that's great, I guess. But um, find the right builder. And that's my book has that kind of uh, guidance in it also to I mean it's got that book has got 30 years, all my books have 30 years of what I've really learned. That's what's exciting because I really wanted to do something like that. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I wanted to have all the information, everything I learned, the pitfalls that I've run into, the situations I had to fix, whether it be my own or whether it was with another builder or a realtor. There's different ways that you handle it, and that's how it all came about. So I don't know if I'll do another book in the future, but yeah, we'll see, right?
That's amazing. So you transferred all your experience, and I suppose they are like real, I mean, life stories as well in these three books.
I could write 50 stories a day, you know, what I've learned from each one of those.
Hmm.
When I get a call or somebody reaches out to me, it's pretty hard for me not to have been in that situation at some level that I can't help. And that's kind of nice because, when I was younger, I wish I had me to go to for a lot of things because it would have made life a whole lot easier. But because I learned on a lot of the hard ways too, right? As we all do. It's not it's but when you're passionate about it, you figure out the right ways to learn from. And that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, many things you said again resonated so much. I mean, first, like never assume. You meet
Yeah.
somebody, be respectful, listen, and don't make a
Hmm.
judgment because as you said, you know what? It's you don't know and really just be open.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
And as and so can you give us like a brief outline of each of your books, Scott?
Sure. This one here, my first book, I started that a few years back, and that one's just taken a lot of lessons and situations that I ran into over the years that I've identified in that book that people should know before they get to the contract stage. Actually, they should have the book before they start looking at who they want to build because it really does guide you what's going to be a better fit. A large volume, small volume, medium volume. Each one has its own characteristics that might fit your personality and how you work, and that's really important in that book.
Hmm.
And it's helped a lot of people. I've got it's still fairly new, but the feedback I've received on it has been fantastic. And, once again they're all on Amazon and the reviews are there to be read. And
Hmm.
then so my second book was right there. The That's for the new home salesperson that just sits in the show home or not too involved in the real estate side because in Canada you don't have to be licensed realtor to sell new homes for a new home builder. So that's not a requirement. So that book outlines different strategies and different ways to promote yourself and to really excel at that industry. And I mean, that book is just a whole life of lessons right there and what you can do to get yourself. up and running fast. And that's important because in that industry, like once again, the tire kickers, if you're wasting a lot of time or just prejudging and all those kind of things. That's in that book too, right? I mean, it's important
Mhm.
that you learn from that. And my third book, the real estate one, that was once again my last one, and that's very recently released, just right in the new year. And that one's done very well so far also. And it's helped the new realtor, the the seasoned ones that are just it's an evolving world out there, as we all know, and it's changing quickly. People are very knowledgeable. People want to know that you're representing them and you understand what you're guiding them through. And
Mhm.
that book will do it. And that book will get a new realtor that's just struggling, hasn't quite figured out where they want to be in that circle. That'll that'll open the doors for it for sure. So they're all three are very important. All three I put a lot of work into. All three took 30 years to come up with, at the end of the day. So that's my overview for those, and I hope everybody sees that and leaves. If you buy it, leave an honest review because honesty is what those books I hope come across. I mean that's where it all started, and that's where I
Right.
seen where's the biggest gap was just is the communication and making sure you're off on the right steps right from the beginning because it makes life a lot easier.
Well, and Scott, there's no doubt it comes across when we hear you about honesty, about really the value you want to bring uh, to the readers. And there's one area I think which is very important for you is the product knowledge in terms of understanding really the house itself and these advantages. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, that's really important. Well, when you go to an RV store or you go to Best Buy, those salespeople, they know their product inside and out.
Hmm.
And you feel really confident you know what you're getting. And I was always, kind of frazzled by that. It's why the biggest purchase of your life is, but so little about the product you're trying to sell. And not even just the product, but all the steps that get to, the walkthroughs. Those are important. Know what you're kind of looking at. Um, you don't have to know how to build the house. That's not important at all. In fact, that's not your role. You're usually working with a competent team. But I always say one thing also when I would go to a job site and it was really messy, that's usually a sign that the job's going to not go well. And they never do. I'm just going to say it. If it's messy on the outside, the trades are disrespecting the project and they don't care. And if you see that, they've lost the site, the company or the site supervisor, whoever's in charge, which they all are in charge, doesn't care enough. So back to the product knowledge. I
Hmm.
mean, it is important that when you're looking, you see the studs look straight and um, it doesn't look sloppy. Or if your
Hmm.
electrical runs look like a bird's nest, that's not a good sign. So things like that, you don't have to know you don't have to be an electrician to understand that something looks good. You're going to have inspectors checking those things also, but just look at the neatness and the pride in the work. Those things are important. I mean, yes, I mean if you see some water issues on a resale home or an aging roof, aging HVAC system, those are important. Have those details for your client. That's super important because they need to know that. What's going to cost them money down the road. Like you're advocating for them. You're there to help them through the process. And when you do that, you've got referrals. It all comes full circle. And it's the ones I've studied over the years that I've worked with over the years, they find it this simpler and they're busy. You know, they're even when things are slowing down, they seem to always be the ones that are still on top of the game. And that's huge, right?
Mhm.
And it's not necessarily the ones that have been doing it for 20 years. That's or 50, whatever years, right? It's even the newcomer that really cares, really wants to help their client. And those are the ones that do well and they know their product. And there's a lot of that in the book. I mean, it doesn't, like, once again, the books are not there to tell you how to build a house, but they will tell you what you need to look for, what's going to be a red flag, how to
Mhm.
identify before it becomes that. And that's important.
And actually, I mean, this is so powerful. And actually, when you tell us about red flags, can you give us some ideas? For instance, and you know, some people or realtors come in a place and don't see some things that they should see. What are the biggest things people have to look for in terms of professionals?
Well, messy site. I always say
Sorry?
that. Yep, that's a key one.
Uh,
But I also think, and if it's a resale home, do you see any water damage?
yeah.
That's, and pull out the furnace filter, have a little peek. Does it look clean? Stuff like that. Maintenance is a big thing. You could have a 5-year-old furnace that's not been maintained at all, or it's probably on it's probably not going to last much longer because without some major maintenance again. The roof, I mean, is it curling like the shingles, whatever? I mean, it those are important. And moisture, you know, there's so many different things, foundation or making sure that your grades are away from the house so you don't have water pooling up to it. Those cause major issues over the years and they're very costly. So just I'm trying to think of other things that are really identifiable, but resale home is always, there's a lot of moving parts to that. And usually home inspectors can catch that, but you want to get to, you want to get there first, right? I mean, home inspector's going to look at the end, and not all of them are necessarily equal, that's for sure. So yeah, just the product knowledge.
Well,
Yep. The
exactly.
better it is for you. The more you can talk intelligently with your clients, they're getting comfortable. They're gaining trust, and yeah, and they're excited. They like being with that person who they trust, right? Who doesn't?
Exactly. And can I sum it up with one word?
Sure,
Being professional.
100%. Yes, you're taking yourself to the whole new level here. You know, if anything, the more professional you can be and come across, the better it is for everyone. Once again, a realtor is working with two people here, or two customers, whether it be the home builder and the client also usually has a home to sell. If they're comfortable with you, you're making some good decisions. They're happy, and you're guiding them. You're taking them through their walkthroughs. The walkthroughs are important. Just really look. If something doesn't look right, take a picture of it. And when I say that, I mean you don't want to step on the toes of the builder, the the site super and that, but identify what you see, bring
Mhm.
it up later, not in front of the client. I mean, if it's something really, something that the construction supervisor feels there's a, identifiable issue, you're probably making them uncomfortable at that point. But it is your job to identify it for sure and bring it up because that's important. And same thing in resale homes. If you're seeing stuff, take pictures of it, ask, uh, you know, find out what's going on.
Exactly. So, well, thank you so much, Scott. It's been so insightful. And perhaps last question. I mean, if a real estate professional listening today wants to stand out in a crowded market, what are three simple things, three they can start doing immediately to increase credibility and close the deals?
Well, number one, believe in what your product is. Make sure that it's the right fit. Be with the right company that represents your values. That's important. That's the first thing.
Hmm.
And if that, and if truth and transparency and all those things mean enough to you, then take a look at my books. That would help. That's a good path to go with. And the third, be true to yourself. You know, make sure that you're doing things for the right reasons and feel good about it. And live every day feeling energized about your job and how you're helping people and where you're going with this, because that's important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Scott, when our viewers wants to connect with you, wants to get hold of your books, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so Scott Grozelle, Groz or Zelle .com. That's my website. It's got everything. My books are on there. But the best way to order the books are through Amazon
Hmm.
and currently right now. And it's just easier. Um, but they are there. And I do my one book is the audio book. I did a version of that for the realtor, construction knowledge for realtors. That one I did in an audio book just because realtors are busy. They're in their cars, they're traveling. This way they can put it on, listen to it, go for a walk, whatever they do, right? So that's important that I did that one in that format. And I do have a couple I am looking at putting together a program. I'm in the works of finishing a program that I'm going to take on 6 clients and just kind of guide them through it. And that'll be posted when it's ready and what you're going to learn from it. So that's coming up. And I got a little free ebook on there also. It's about 50 pages, and that book there alone has got a lot of what we're kind of talking about here, and that will help any person in sales for sure. Whether it be if you're a car salesman, all this stuff all matters. I mean, it all runs the same circle. You want to do the best for your client, you want to do the best for the company you work for, and represent everybody's best interest.
Okay.
That's what it's all about, right, Daniel?
Absolutely. And actually, one thing just wanted to ask you, Scott, can you tell us about the really nice guitar behind you?
Oh yeah,
What's the
that's
story? Because it looks beautiful, yeah?
it is beautiful guitar. Yeah, that one I actually I have 6 guitars and I had more, but when I moved to Mexico, I couldn't bring any more than 6. So
Mhm.
they would look at it as a collector's that you're a collector, and then they tax you on all that stuff. So I got rid of the ones that, well, I didn't want to get rid of any of them, but I did. So that particular guitar I use mostly because I like it right there, so I can grab it and just play it when I feel like it because it just anything I'm thinking in my head, my fingers can make that sound. So that guitar provides me that. I do have, like I said, a few other collectors. One of Gibson Les Paul. It's a numbered edition. It's beautiful. Problem with that one, when I bought it, it was never played, and it's everything, like all the original tags and everything. So as much as I love that guitar, it's the most beautiful guitar I've ever seen. I don't want to play it because I don't want to. I don't know. Maybe it's weird. I mean, you buy a guitar to play. I mean, that's what you do. But I've got lots of them. So, and this one plays better. So I did play in bands for over the years and I still like to play, but I really gotta find more time to play with it and just it's a craft, right? You can't get better at a craft unless you give it time. And that's what I gotta do. I've got a very needy dog and it's a big Labradoodle, 80 pounder. So that
Mhm.
takes a lot of my time. And actually, believe it or not, I got 2 cats here also that we adopted and they're here in Mexico and they're very needy. And the one just, I'm surprised she's not bugging me right now because she's relentless. So anyway, that's the
Well,
story of the guitar.
no, thank you so much for sharing with us. And Scott, it has been an absolutely fascinating conversation. because your work highlights something which is incredibly important, is that real expertise is not just about selling, but it's about understanding the product, listening to the people, educating your clients, and building genuine trust.
Absolutely. You nailed it.
Well, and for everyone listening, please contact Scott. There are the three books which are mentioned here with the audio versions, which is great as well. And and anyone who really enjoyed this interview, please share it. Share it with your friends, family, and other professionals, because there's so much uh, wisdom and in Scott's experience that it's something very, very valuable. So thank you to you, Scott, for being with us. And for our viewers. And I see you at the next episode. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Take care.